Hello everyone, I am Tacit and Happy New Year! So, the first video of 2024, we have ourselves a brand new kingdom that of course ended up coming in yesterday. We should be back hopefully to normal schedule now that the holidays are over. Hope you all had a wonderful holidays. Anyways, today we have the Minutes to Midnight event in which the Hound is added to the game as well as the entire kingdom of Mydnight. So quite a few things to go over. Let's start from the top and just go into the troop and then go into the billion other things, as of course, with a new kingdom, there is a ton to go over. So as far as Hound is concerned, as far as options we have right now, it's perfectly fine. It ends up creating 9 skulls and then summons a Hound, which of course is itself, so it can keep resummoning itself. We have a couple troops that are like this, basically scroll spammers that resummon themselves. They're not the greatest, but based on what we have as options in this current kingdom, it's definitely on the upper side. It also has Death Touch whenever it ends up doing skull damage, while also having Fear on top of that, basically having a double death mark in a sense. So Terror is a new mechanic that was added to the game. Essentially what this does is there's a 10% chance that whatever is afflicted with Terror will end up moving down by 1 slot, and if they're all the way in last slot, they will basically die, like a Death Mark will. What's pretty interesting about this is, unlike Death Mark and Lycanthropy and similar mechanics, it does not have a 1-turn delay. Meaning you can immediately place Terror on something like the last slot, though in this case it would be first slot. But you could do it on something like last slot with other mechanics, and then they can immediately die 10% of the time. And this effect does stack with Deathmark. So you can both Terror and Deathmark something, and if they are currently in last slot, when afflicted with both, that is 2 individual 10% chances that they will die on that turn. Keep in mind, Terror technically makes them flee, so it doesn't count as a kill in the traditional sense. So you won't get like kill boost ratio or anything from that. But for all effective purposes, something fleeing is essentially something dying in most situations. So you get most of the same benefits. I don't believe you get any souls for it, and it doesn't count as kill credit if you have something that has kill boost ratio, both of which generally won't really matter that much. So it's essentially a kill for all intensive purposes. So pretty nice, 2 10% chances to kill. And be able to stack both of them is definitely going to be one of the main strategies you use, particularly with Curse, doing Curse, Deathmark, and Terror, as that will maximize your chance that they won't cleanse, giving them more chances that they'll end up dying to either of the 2 effects. And ideally, don't place Lycanthropy on them, because of course that would just undo everything. But now instead of having like Lycanthropy Deathmark, we have Deathmark Terror, which is a lot more consistent. Well, I shouldn't say more consistent. They'll actually kill when it does a thing, other than the other thing that could sometimes Lycanthropy them, and then you just kind of start from square one. But yes, of course, we have the Mydnight Kingdom, located right over here with this blue-purple banner. As far as its trial, it's a bit of an annoying one. We do have the Half-Demon Knight, which oddly enough is a little bit harder to own at this exact moment in time due to getting the first copy of him. And I do not advise spending 500 gems just to get it. It is a complete waste just to get a copy of him. However, he destroys a column, inflicts terror to each enemy for each blue destroyed, potentially up to 4, though realistically 2 or 3, and then gains barrier. Basically a pseudo tank. I don't feel like he tanks hard enough though. We have ourselves a Fair here, which is basically just a little poke and double if they're terrored. Doesn't really do too much. The main thing that you have is the Midnight Queen into the Daemon Child. Midnight Queen, by far the strongest thing in this entire kingdom, very similar to Glaceon, except it has Terror on it instead of having extremely high tankiness. It converts all red to purple and converts all blues to Doom Skulls. It inflicts Terror on the strongest enemy, while also having the current best Terror in the entire game, which is inflict Terror on a random enemy every single time you take extra turn. She's by far the main MVP as far as what we have as usable options within the kingdom, though that is a pretty low bar given how bad the kingdom is, though she actually will hold up to be a decent troop going forward as well, so she's pretty much the only really good thing from the kingdom, I would say, in the current state of the game. Then we have the Daemon Child. This thing you normally wouldn't use under normal circumstances, however you kind of have to for this, and for a lot of things related to these builds until we have more troop options, and is basically your main mana accumulator into the Midnight Queen. You end up creating 7 blues boosted by terrified enemies at a 2x boost ratio, meaning if the entire enemy team is terrified, you'll get 8 additional gem spawn for 15 total. Unfortunately, she doesn't really have a good way to feed back into herself in the current state of the game. There's not a second mana accumulator that uses blue in this kingdom that can properly feed back into her. However, that is basically the whole gimmick here, and you just keep going back and forth between Midnight Queen and Child of Summer until you get lucky enough that you can actually kill them, because gosh, is that higher level range annoying. Still haven't bothered doing it yet, but we will soon. Anyways, let's go over, since we're going over Midnight stuff, let's go over the rest of the Midnight Kingdom. Let's go over to all the troops, as well as show all of the weapons, and show how you currently end up getting them. So keep in mind, if you are going for the event key drop table, there are several things not in the event key drop table. They include the Midnight King, which is from the end of the season pass, which we'll be going over in a second. The Queen of Wands, which is also in the end of the season pass, and the Lady of Bones, which is actually very early in the season pass, so you also get one copy for free later down the line. There's also the Half Demon Knight, which is pretty similar. You end up getting it on both the paid side and the free side, but on the free side is quite a bit further down the line. So all the ones that currently exist in the event queue drop table then are Bonehound, Daemon Child, Fayeur, Lost Hunter, and the Mydnight Queen. Those are the only 5 things in event keys right now, so you probably don't want to do too many. I personally did max them all because I have more event keys than I know what to do with. But if you are on a limited number, you probably only want to do about 50, 100, just enough that you get one copy of each. And honestly, 50 should be enough to get at least like 2, 3 Mydnight Queens, hopefully, since there's so few in the drop table right now. The main reason you don't want to go too crazy with it is there's, of course, currently no mythic within the kingdom. And until there is, you don't really want to spend too many event keys here, as every event key you use has a 0% chance currently of getting a mythic, whereas, of course, they'll have a 0.11% chance later down the line when, you know, there's naturally a mythic here. But aside from that, yeah, these 4 are not in drop table. Half Demon Knight, Lady of Bones, Queen of Wands, and the Mydnight King. So where do you end up getting them? You get them from the Kingdom Pass. So this Kingdom Pass, I think this is only the 2nd time this has ever cycled back around, ever since they made it easier. Essentially, you can end up getting 20 crowns per day. The way that you do this is go find your nearest Quick Kill Explorer, or any location that you can win very quickly in. The Quick Kill Explorer is generally the go-to location. I just realized this team's not going to have enough damage. I was using this for it earlier too, but when he does end up appearing, which he should be pretty common, they actually changed how his drop rate works since the previous one, and he drops very, very, very commonly now, as well as only needing, well, you still need the same 10 per day, but you end up getting 20 crowns because he gives you 2 per instance, and you just do that. It takes about 5-10 minutes, depends what team you're using. And you just Quick Kill Explore until you end up finding him a bunch of times. Very quick, doesn't take that long at all. You could even do it with your daily 15-minute XP booster and be good to go. And it even tracks your progress pretty well now. Has a little mini progress bar here. However, the main one you want to be looking at is this one right here. It tells you how many of your 10 encounters you've done per day, and you do want to be doing this per day. It'll be the main thing that gets you this entire pass done for free. I forget how much leeway there is in the new 2-week system. Though I guess we could do the math on it. You get, 20 per day, so you can kind of just go from there. But there is a little bit of leeway, but not that much. So you do want to be doing this absolutely every single day. If you haven't already started, make sure to start doing it. You can find 10 per day, which gives you 20 crowns, which moves you up 4 tiers. And you just keep moving up 4 tiers per day until you have finished out the entirety of the pass. And you end up getting a couple things here. So the most noteworthy one on the free side is the Hand of Time. Not only is this the closest thing we have to a full AoE weapon, I believe, for the kingdom, but the main thing, actually no, we actually do get a full AoE on the paid side, but this is still pretty decent for that. But the main reason why this thing is so relevant is generally, not always though, but normally the weapon that is on the free side of the Kingdom Pass is the one that gets money locked down the line. So generally, every single $5 money locked weapon in the entire game, they were always available for free at one point in the game. And normally the way that they do it with new kingdoms, well, not always, but pretty much always, is the weapon that's at the end of the Kingdom Pass becomes the $5 money-locked weapon for the kingdom, as this is the first instance where it's available for free, and then going forward, it is money-locked. So it's kind of actually inverse of what the paid side is. So the paid side weapon, of which you get 2 of them, they start paid, like right now, if you want to get them within the next 2 weeks, you have to pay for, I think it's like $7 to $8 for the Kingdom Pass thing. You have to pay for that, and you end up getting this weapon, which is an AoE, which is a little unfortunate that one's paid walled. I still don't have it yet, but that's like the only AoE I think we have in the whole kingdom at the moment. And then there's some other weapon a little bit further down. I actually completely forget what it does, or where it even is, but somewhere's in all this mess. Can't find it easily right here. Actually, we could easily check it when we go check all weapons later. Where on earth is that other weapon? I know there's 2. But anyways, there's 2 weapons on that side. And those paid weapons become free later, and the free weapon basically becomes paid later, is how that ends up working. So if I actually go to collection right here, we can actually see how you end up obtaining all weapons. So if we go to Mydnight over here, which show all, we can see it right over here. So the Doom Signet, which we haven't gone over yet, this is from the Doom event. Spend 500 gems in the current Doom event and go get that. Highly advised, just so you don't have to get it in the future. It's very useful for the Doom event itself, but beyond that, you're probably not going to be using it much. And a time on the free side of the Kingdom Pass, we just saw it there. The Mydnight Terror, this one is the one I couldn't find. That should be on the paid side of the pass. Next, we have ourselves the Sands of Mydnight. This one you end up getting just from leveling up your hero. I haven't actually leveled up my hero yet since the patch. But the second that you level up your hero after the patch, or if you don't have 50-50 mastery, you'll get it then. But if you already do, then you'll get it on your next level up. You'll end up getting this, which creates a mix of blue and skulls, and there's 25% chance to gain extra turn per terrified enemy, boosting it some, which is a pretty small boost ratio. It's only a 2 times, so if you had all 4 terrified, that'd be a, 33% chance, which is still pretty low. That's a 1/3 chance instead of a 1/4 chance. And of course the Scythe, which is probably the most noteworthy one, though it is on the paid side right now, of the Kingdom Pass. And if an enemy dies, also converts all red gems to hourglass gems, which could be a backfire mechanic, but could also end up giving you potentially an extra turn. And it might make it so you actually hold the weapon occasionally rather than just cast spamming it, but overall I feel like that would be more of a benefit than a downside unless it just super ultra misses. Since you only need to get a 3 out of it, you don't actually have to need to get a 4 because it has the hourglass gem mechanic. Anyways, but yeah, that's pretty much the Kingdom Pass. There's a bunch of other small little knick-knack stuff in between. Also, as far as the troops, you do get a copy of the 2 of them for free. The one over here is the Lady of Bone. She's all the way at tier 45. And the other one is right over here at, what is that, 35? You end up getting the other guy for free. They are both on the paid side, and you get enough copies to get it maxed on the paid side. You also get enough to max out the pet on the paid side. You also get the 2 weapons we mentioned on the paid side. And a bunch of other knick-knack stuff like, you know, Deep Book and all that. Is overall worth it? I personally go for them. However, every single thing that's here is going to be obtainable in the future. Like, every single weapon on the paid side will be available for free in Soulforge in a couple months from now. Same as all the troops will be easily in event keys. You just throw some and you'll get them. The only thing that's really important is get the Hands of Time. You still want to do this whole thing even if you're just doing the free side, as this might be the one and only time you can get Hands of Time for free, so make sure to do so. But otherwise, it's pretty skippable, because there's no actual, like, unique content in a sense that is going to be locked away. All of this will be reobtainable in the future, like most content in Gems of War. So you don't have to worry about too much if you don't end up getting the pass, as if you just wait a few months, you'll have everything. Anyways, so what else? What else? We got quite a few other things. Let's go over now to the event of the Tower of Doom. So Tower of Doom is probably the most normal thing we have going on all week. It is as standard as Tower of Doom gets. Just communicate with your guild where all of the rooms are. Take the corresponding rooms that are useful. Communicate with your guild what those useful rooms actually are. And then you're good to go. As far as restriction, obviously it's red. Do make sure to be using the ring though, as you do need to be using the ring in order to get double doom. You technically only have to be using it on the final fight at each floor, but just conveniently having it on your team for every single fight is just a lot more convenient. So generally just build whatever red team you want to do. I believe both the teams I made are centered around Huntmaster, so just going all in on a Huntmaster build is one of the better ways to go. But of course you can build absolutely anything in the red. There's double Tesla, there's I guess those are the main 2 strategies. It's either Huntmaster spam into AoE dragons or double Tesla into itself. Just mana accumulate it with like Marilith or something else. I don't think I actually showed a team for that, but just doing Marilith with double Tesla is a pretty good lower rarity alternative, though it does require owning 1 or 2 copies of the Legend Tesla, which is a little bit more expensive, which is why I didn't show it for the low rarity team. Anyways, as far as other events that we have going on this week, this Tuesday, which is now today, we should be back to normal schedule soon. We have just a standard Broken Spire event. This is mostly because we're not getting the faction for the new kingdom until 2 weeks from now, if not mistaken. Or technically 3 Fridays from now, 2 weeks physically from now. So not this Friday, not the following Friday, but the Friday after that, we should be getting a new faction for the kingdom. And currently we don't have one, so we're just getting a Broken Spire event. This Wednesday, I can't show it here because we have this little knight guy here. However, we're getting the pet for the new kingdom, so we'll end up getting another bonus there. I believe we already get 1 pet from the Kingdom Pass itself, both on the free side and the paid side. However, we'll be getting another pet for it this Wednesday, because obviously there's like almost none there. Thursday, we're going to be having, or sorry, Thursday we have no event at all. Because this Friday, we have a class event. Whenever we get a new class on Fridays, there's no Thursday class event, probably because some kind of bug that would happen if they did a class event into a class event. So whenever there is one, we just simply have no Thursday event. So no Thursday event this week. Instead, we just have a Friday class event. It works the same as every other class event. Nothing really too special other than the fact, well, we get a new hero class. The new hero class is looking to be pretty abysmal, though. I'm not sure if they're going to tweak it before it launches, but it's a weird mix of both spell damage and skull damage, making it kind of pointless because it doesn't excel at either enough to justify using it. And yeah, I just don't really see any situation where it's going to get used. Because all of its trees are basically based on skulls, but all of its perks that it gets from its 3 traits are based on casting. And it's just a really weird mix, because if it was all in skull, that could kind of work. But it's a mix of both, which makes it very clunky and probably never get used. It's by far the weakest of the hero classes since we've been getting new hero classes. as of, you know, last like several years with the new kingdoms and everything. Since then, this is probably the weakest option we have ended up getting from it. So a little unfortunate, but I don't know. We'll mess around with it. It does has Mystic synergy, so who knows? Maybe we'll have some kind of team with that. But there should already be another Mystic hero class, so I'm pretty sure that just ends up working out better. Can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but given how bad this one is, I assume it's better. Anyways, but that's the main other thing that we have going on. We get to class this Friday then, with no class event on Thursday because of it. As far as the Soul Forge is concerned, what do we even have here? I didn't bother double checking, though there's pretty much nothing here. I guess Quetzalma, but honestly, if you're building a Finesse build or a Strix build, just put Finesses on it and you'll be fine. Generally, if you just replace Quetzalma with a Finesse, you're good to go. The only restriction where I guess it's pretty good is a Suncrest specific restriction, because you can't end up using Finesse in Suncrest because it resides in the Guardian Kingdom. So whenever you're under a pure Suncrest restriction, this can end up getting some usage. There's also some Divine teams that can use it due to Yellow being very commonly used on Divines. But beyond that, yeah, it doesn't really get used that much. Under pure Strix, it's better replaced by Finesse. But it is okay. Does have a pretty good revive. Does get to start with that Lightstorm if you don't already have a billion other options already off of Strix that do it. And it does have an infinite loop into itself, which you would think is actually a good thing, but its damage output's honestly pretty low. It's worse than Rowan, but loopier. And I don't know, it just doesn't do enough a lot of times, especially compared to the metas that already exist under Strix. So, for way lower rarity, basically free with how low their rarity is. So it just generally doesn't get used that much, even though it's a pretty decent loop troop. But there's just not much of a need to have it or to use it. But it's by far the strongest thing if you were to craft a mythic this week. And as far as weapons, I want to say none, because they're all locked. I think there's literally not a single weapon here now that I'm looking at it, because every single one is locked behind. Well, I guess technically the Tower of Doom weapon, but you should get that from Tower of Doom, not from this. But yeah, every single weapon is in a different location. We kind of already went over it earlier, but just to recap really quick, unless I'm forgetting where one of these are. Let's see if I go to Kingdom. Where is it? Not a Kingdom. Yeah, Kingdom, Mydnight. Let's see. Just a quick rundown of where these little guys are. We have ourselves, it would help if I click Show All. It would help if I click Show All. There we go. So, Doom Signet, 500 gems from the current Doom event. Highly advise getting it that way. You can technically get it in Soul Forge, so get it from Doom event. Hands of Time. This is the final reward you get on the free side of the Kingdom Pass. Definitely make sure to do so. It's probably going to be $5 money locked going forward. We have the Mydnight Terror, which I'm not 100% certain, but I believe this is from the current paid side of the Kingdom Pass. Then we have the Sands of Time. This one is definitely from 50 Water and Purple Mastery if you don't already have it. And if you do already have it, you'll get it on your next level up after the patch or after this week has started. And then we have probably the most useful one, the Temporal Scythe. Unfortunately, it is also on the paid side of the current bundle. And that's where those 5 weapons are. Anyways, is that all the things? I think that might be all the things. In which case, let's go over a bunch of teams, all of which will be in the description below. And I still click on this to try to get to my teams every single time, without fail. I'm still not used to that. Okay, anyways, let's go to our collection then. So let's start from the top. Tower of Doom. What are we running? We're running Doom Signet into Huntmaster, Boris, Stellarix, and Rubraf. You may have noticed earlier, I ended up putting it the other way around. This is quicker but less tanky, so basically adjust accordingly based on what you need. Essentially tank with that if you want to go safer. Otherwise, move everything up by 1 and put this all the way in the back if you want to go quicker. For the earlier side, obviously you want to go quicker. For the later side, you're going to want to tank with your hero, as you still get double bonus even if your ring dies. So you can use it as your tank, but that will make it slower, and you'll huge block on red until you have Huntmaster going. So for the super early fights, you might want to unblock it since they have no chance of killing you. Basically just adjust accordingly based on when you feel like you actually have any chance of dying in the Tower of Doom. Next, we have ourselves the lower variant, which I still ended up going with the similar premise. And once again, you can move it down if you want to. It's the same kind of Huntmaster build. As we mentioned earlier, you can still go double Tesla Marilith if you want, but it is a little bit higher rarity. It's about the lowest rarity you can end up getting away with. The Doom Signet, which gives you the double points, and you get for 500 gems during the current event. Huntmaster Boris, which is an epic rarity, but if you have it, it basically just infinite loops into itself when it has a bunch of dragons on the team. Penglong, which we're running here just for a full AoE poke. Basically, it's a little bit of chip damage. You can run whatever better AoE dragon you have. If you happen to have Rubraf, any of the other gem dragons, Celestial dragons, or anything else that's better. But Penglong's the cheapest you can get. You get it for free from just completing out the Shintan Kingdom. And speaking of super cheap options, literally just a common baby dragon that transforms into a different dragon. Hopefully a more useful dragon if you don't have access to better dragons. That's pretty much the game plan there. And that is what we're running with. Next, we have ourselves the faction event for today, which is a brown... blue? Brown red? I want to say brown red. Because I know that's a storm that it creates. It is a brown, red, brown. It is indeed a brown-red restriction. There we go. I thought so. I was just second guessing myself for a second. It makes sense because that's what the storm is for this location as well, off of the dragon. But anyways, for the lower range, obviously, just running some quick kill guards avatar. You can run Teslas if you want. For the higher range, end up showing a Mirrorlift Iron Gut Zolgoth team. Once again, you can run Mirrorlift to double Tesla, as with pretty much everything. Just run Tesla the whole way through. For Pure Faction, we have ourselves, there's only really two main strategies, or one main strategy. It is spam Magma Dragon until you win. How you want to go about that is mainly how you build your team. But we basically just put one single Fire Spirit in there for its gem convert to red, using that with the Magma Dragon or just keep spamming AoE, and it's pretty much a game plan. As we mentioned earlier, it does have that brown-red storm, which will end up giving him, well, brown-red storm, so he can end up getting all the mana that he needs. So even if you're getting a mana a little bit slower, that should help it out a little bit there. Next, we have ourselves the Underspire. Oh, yeah. Underspire is insufferable this week. I didn't mention that yet, because normally it's not worth mentioning. However, Underspire is the most insufferable thing to do ever as of this current week, so I would advise just not doing it. Or if you are doing it, just do, like, the free fights or up to a certain point. I'm personally spending a little bit so we can get to the 4th room, and then using a lantern on the 4th room. The 4th room is double silver, so I'm doing it until we get to the 4th boss, and then getting a double silver off of that, and then stopping. The main reason being is, what do we have for options? Well, only Mydnight troops. What do we have for Mydnight troops? Not a lot. We have basically nothing. So it is advised to not complete out the entirety of Underspire. Just do your free fights or slightly more than free fights and just stop there. Either just do all free fights and nothing more, or do up to tier 4 completion, or the 4th boss room completion. Either or. I do highly advise not trying to go all the way. It is legitimately possible to lose with how bad our options are this time around. Unless you get just really lucky, but even then you're still going to lose some of the fights. Even if you do end up getting lucky off of Terror and Deathmark and stuff like that. I would just advise avoiding this place. Also, I didn't really actually go over him earlier. I think I went over every single one of these troops. However, Lost Hunter, he does have Eagle's Eye into 50% piercing, which does give him a decent chance to actually do some skull damage. And as far as things that do extra skull damage here, he's pretty much the only option. I guess we technically have a little bit of value there on this double touch, but you're generally going to get a lot more value from spamming when you have double skull damage into a potential chance that you just one-shot them, since you'll be hitting directly on their HP. So, can sometimes work out pretty well, but if nothing else, I'll at least do the 2x skull damage pretty consistently, which is double more than what anything else in this kingdom could say. But yeah, our options are just super abysmal, and I do not advise doing that much Underspire. With that being said, here are the Underspire teams. So, Underspire, for the first one, we're basically doing skull spam into Lost Hunter. Lost Hunter having the double-double. He does block your mana, unfortunately. However, not too big a deal. It just takes a little bit longer. We are doing this Lady of Bones. Obviously, Lady of Bones, if you're playing free-to-play, you are not getting her until super, super late into the Kingdom Pass, to the point that this event week will be over. So if you're playing free-to-play, you will not be able to get Lady of Bones right now, unless you spend like hundreds upon hundreds of gems, which I highly advise not spending gems to skip tiers in the current Battle Pass system. However, the lower rarity team is basically just replace it with Daemon Child, and using that as your mana accumulation, based on how many Terrified you have, using that to go into Mydnight Queen, spamming that, and that just goes straight into Lost Hunter. And of course, Bonehound is here for backup resummon and for a little bit extra skull pressure. Next, we have ourselves the Mydnight class event, which we have on Friday, since we don't have any Thursday class event. For this, we will be restricted to Mystics from Mydnight, so if you thought there wasn't enough options to use, wait until there's even less. But for this, we're just using Mydnight Queen spam, basically. We're just doubling up on the Mydnight Queen, using Daemon Child to feed it, and the Bonehound to hold down the team, just to make sure we don't actually lose, as there's a legitimate chance this team could lose. No, it shouldn't if you're just doing the free battles. But I definitely advise, if you are someone who does go pretty deep into the class event, to not do it this time. I'm pretty sure I might be mass buying it so we can get it to level 70 and kind of show a video for it, hopefully on Friday, and have it like half maxed, everything but its final perk. That will cost a couple thousand gems, however many it is. It's very overpriced to do, but we normally do it for the Friday video. However, beyond that, I would not really advise even touching, really, the class event this Friday, other than just doing the free fights. Because beyond that, it is just pretty much a waste of gems. Even though I'm also going to be one of those people who are going to be wasting those gems. However, I do not advise actually doing the fights, as they are going to be glacially slow, and it'd be better off just putting that into PvP. With that being said, of course, with how many different PvP options we have this week, I will be covering a separate video going over all the PvP teams. I hope to have that out later today, hopefully, fingers crossed. And once we do, we should finally be back on normal schedule as far as posting on this channel is concerned. once we get that video up. But anyways, I hope you all have a wonderful 2024. Best of luck with the new Mydnight Kingdom. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave in the comment section below. And I will catch all of you guys later. Goodbye, everyone, and happy 2024. Thanks for watching.